War Master Thexvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Talon, and watched the stars slide past the viewing screen. His 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he reviewed the fleet formation behind him. 300 warships, each one capable of destroying a small moon, all under his command. The Krillian Empire had sent its finest to claim the Sol system, and Thexvar would not disappoint. The navigation officer turned from her station, her scales rippling with uncertainty. "War Master, we are approaching the boundary markers. The automated warnings have begun broadcasting." Thexvar made a dismissive gesture with his clawed hand. "Let me hear them." The bridge speakers crackled to life. A calm artificial voice spoke in perfect Krillian. "Warning. You are approaching the territorial borders of the Sol system. Turn back immediately. This space is under quarantine. For your own safety and the safety of your crew, do not proceed beyond this point. This is not a threat. This is a warning given in friendship. Please turn back." Several officers on the bridge chittered with amusement. Thexvar himself felt his mandibles spread in what passed for a smile among his people. The message repeated in other languages he recognized, and many more he did not. The effort was almost touching in its futility. "A quarantine," Thexvar said, his voice dripping with mockery. "The humans speak of safety and friendship while trying to hide their pathetic world behind empty threats." His chief science officer, an older Krillian named Vexton, approached with cautious steps. "War Master, perhaps we should consider the warning. Our intelligence about this species is limited. We know they achieved faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. We know they have no colonies outside their home system. But we do not know why they have issued this quarantine." Thexvar turned his full gaze upon Vexton. The science officer was old, perhaps too old, and age had made him soft. "Tell me, Vexton, how many species has our empire conquered?" 47, War Master." "And how many of those species warned us away before we claimed their worlds?" Vexton's scales darkened with shame. 32, War Master. Exactly. Every weak species tries to frighten the strong with warnings and bluster. They hope we will believe their lies and leave them alone. But we are Krillian. We do not frighten easily." Thexvar walked to the center of the bridge, his voice rising so all could hear. "This human species sits on a single planet with no empire, no colonies, no visible fleet. They have drawn a line in space and told the galaxy to stay away. What reason could they have except fear? They know they cannot defend themselves, so they try to scare us away with mysterious warnings." The bridge crew responded with clicking sounds of approval and agreement. Only Vexton remained silent, his old eyes troubled. Thexvar accessed his command console and pulled up the intelligence reports on humanity. The data was sparse, gathered mostly from long-range sensors and intercepted communications. The humans had made first contact with other species only 20 years ago. They had been welcomed into the galactic community with curiosity, as all new species were. But then mysteriously they had withdrawn. They had established their border and refused all visitors. They had closed their system and warned everyone away. The other species had respected this request, mostly out of confusion and lack of interest. The Sol system was unremarkable, containing nothing of obvious value. There were thousands of other systems to explore and exploit. Why waste time on one strange species that wanted to be left alone? But the Krillian Empire did not accept closed doors. The Empire expanded, always expanding, and every system was a potential asset. If the humans wanted to hide something, then that something was worth taking. "Navigation," Thexvar commanded. "Take us across the boundary. All ships, battle formation. Shields at maximum. Weapons charged and ready." The fleet moved forward as one, a massive formation of death and destruction. The warning buoys continued their broadcasts, the artificial voice never changing its calm, almost sad tone. "Turn back. Please turn back. You do not understand the danger. We are trying to protect you." As the first ships crossed the invisible line that marked the border, something strange happened. All communication with the outside galaxy simply stopped. The background chatter of quantum communications, the constant data streams from distant stars, the routine check-ins with Krillian command, all of it went silent at once. The communications officer stabbed at her controls frantically. "War Master, we have lost all external communications. I cannot reach Fleet Command. I cannot reach any relay stations outside the boundary. It is as if a wall has appeared behind us." Vexton moved to his science station, his claws flying over the displays. "War Master." I am detecting unusual energy patterns throughout this region. The quantum fabric of space itself shows signs of manipulation. This is not natural. Thexvar felt the first small stirring of doubt in his heart, but he crushed it immediately. The humans have deployed some kind of jamming technology. Clever, but useless. They cannot jam our weapons. Navigation set course for the inner system. We will proceed to their homeworld and show them what happens when they defy the Empire. The fleet pushed deeper into human territory. Hours passed, then days. The ships encountered nothing but empty space. No defense stations, no patrol ships, no mines or weapon platforms. The region was eerily quiet, as if abandoned. Where are they? The tactical officer muttered, scanning her displays over and over. There should be something. Border defenses, monitoring stations, something. Thexvar paced the bridge, his confidence slowly being replaced by irritation. The humans were playing games with him. They had to be watching, had to be planning something, but what? On the third day after crossing the border, 3 scout ships were sent ahead to survey the region more quickly. They jumped to faster than light speed and disappeared from sensors. They were scheduled to report back in 6 hours. 6 hours passed, then 12, then 24. The scout ships never reported back. Thexvar stood at the viewing screen, staring into the darkness of space. Behind him, the bridge crew worked in tense silence. The mood had changed. The confident chatter was gone, replaced by nervous efficiency. "War Master," Vexton said quietly, approaching from his station, "I recommend we turn back. Something is wrong here. The energy patterns are growing stronger. Ship sensors are malfunctioning in ways I cannot explain. The crew is reporting strange sightings, shadows moving in empty corridors, sounds with no source. And now 3 ships have vanished without a trace." Thexvar turned on him with fury. "We do not retreat. We do not show fear. We are Krillian. We are the apex predators of this galaxy. Some sensor glitches and missing scouts will not turn us back like frightened children." But even as he spoke the words, Thexvar felt something he had rarely experienced in his long military career. He felt doubt. He felt the cold touch of uncertainty creeping up his spine. The humans had warned them. They had warned them repeatedly, calmly, without anger or threat. Just simple warnings given almost with sadness, as if they knew what was coming and wished to prevent it. What did the humans know that the Krillian Empire did not? Thexvar pushed the thought aside and turned to his navigation officer. "Continue on course. All ships maintain formation. We will reach the human homeworld within the week. Prepare the invasion forces." The fleet moved forward through the silent darkness, unaware that they had already crossed a point of no return. Behind them, the warning buoys continued their endless broadcasts into the void, patient and sad, waiting for the next fleet that would ignore their words. In the depths of space around them, things were beginning to notice the intruders. Ancient things, patient things, things that had waited for millions of years and could wait millions more. But they would not need to wait much longer. The Krillians had made their choice. Now they would face the consequences. 2 weeks had passed since the Krillian fleet crossed into human territory, 2 weeks of traveling through empty, silent space. War Master Thexvar stood at his command station, reviewing sensor logs that made less sense with each passing day. The fleet had slowed its advance. After losing the 3 scout ships, Thexvar had ordered a more cautious approach. They moved as a tight formation now, all 300 ships within quick support range of each other. It was not the aggressive push he had planned, but even his pride had limits. "Report," he commanded. The sensor officer, a young Krillian named Pexra, looked up from her station with troubled eyes. "War Master, the anomalies continue. Our long-range sensors detected what appeared to be a space station 3 hours ago. When we approached, there was nothing. Just empty space. This is the 7th phantom reading this week." "Equipment failure," Thexvar said, but his voice lacked conviction. "All sensor arrays show perfect function, War Master. I have run diagnostics 17 times. The equipment is working correctly. It is detecting something, but when we arrive, that something is no longer there, or perhaps was never there at all." Vexton emerged from the science lab, looking older than his years. He had not slept well since they crossed the border. None of them had. "War Master, I need to show you something." Thexvar followed him to the science station. Vexton pulled up a 3-dimensional map of their traveled route through the Sol system's outer regions. "These red dots represent the phantom sensor readings," Vexton explained. "At first I thought they were random. Equipment glitches, as you suggested. But look at the pattern. Thexvar studied the map. The red dots seemed random at first glance, but as he looked longer, he saw it. The dots formed a loose spiral around their fleet's path like something had been circling them, staying just out of direct contact. "They are watching us," Bexton said quietly. "Something is tracking our movements, appearing and disappearing. Testing our sensors, perhaps. Learning about us, then why not attack?" Thexvar demanded. "If the humans have forces shadowing us, why not engage? We are deep in their territory. This would be the perfect opportunity for an ambush." Bexton was quiet for a long moment. "War Master, I do not believe these readings are human ships." Before Thexvar could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. The communications officer shouted over the noise. "War Master, we are receiving a distress signal. It is not from our fleet. The signature is unknown. Location? 3 million kilometers ahead, War Master. Whatever is sending the signal, it is not moving." Thexvar made his decision quickly. "Take us there." Battle stations. All weapons ready. The fleet moved toward the signal source. As they approached, their sensors began to paint a picture of something large floating in space. When they were finally close enough for visual confirmation, the bridge crew fell silent. A ship drifted before them, dead and dark. But it was not a human ship. The design was completely unfamiliar, with strange angular surfaces that seemed to bend light in odd ways. The hull was massive, easily twice the size of Thexvar's flagship. "Can you identify the species?" Thexvar asked. Bexton worked at his console, comparing the ship's design to every known species in the galactic database. After several minutes, he looked up with confusion clear on his face. "War Master, this ship does not match any known species. The design is completely unique. But that is not the strangest part." He pulled up an image of the hull. Even on the screen, Thexvar could see something wrong with the surface. It was covered in marks, scratches, and burns that formed patterns. His translation implant began working automatically, processing the marks as language. Words appeared on his screen in Krillian. The same message, repeated hundreds of times across the hull in dozens of different languages. "Leave. They are watching. Turn back while you can. Do not proceed. Danger. They are always watching." The bridge was silent except for the hum of the ship's systems. Thexvar stared at the translated message, feeling his blood run cold. Someone had taken the time to carve warnings all over their ship's hull in every language they knew. Someone had been desperate to warn anyone who came after them. "Send a boarding team," Thexvar ordered. "I want to know what happened to the ship and its crew." The boarding team returned 3 hours later. Their leader, a battle-hardened soldier named Crixton, looked shaken as he made his report. "War Master, the ship is empty. There are signs of habitation, personal belongings, half-eaten meals in what we believe was their dining area, but no bodies, no crew, no signs of battle or struggle. They simply vanished. How long has the ship been here? Based on the decay of organic materials, our science team estimates between 10 and 15 years. The ship's computer is too damaged to access, but we found more warnings. Inside the ship, carved into walls, written on surfaces, even burned into deck plates. Always the same message: leave. They are watching." Thexvar dismissed the boarding team and stood alone at the viewing screen, watching the dead ship drift. Behind him he heard Bexton approach. "We should turn back, War Master." "No. That ship came here just as we did. That species ignored the warnings just as we have. And now they are gone. We do not even know what happened to them. Please, War Master. Pride is not worth—" "I said no." Thexvar turned to face his science officer. "We cannot turn back now. We have come too far. The crew is already frightened. If we retreat now, we show weakness. The Empire will see us as cowards. I will not have that mark on my record." Bexton's scales darkened with resignation. "Then we are already dead. We just do not know it yet." The fleet left the derelict ship behind and continued toward the inner system. But the mood had changed completely. The confident warriors who had crossed the border were now nervous soldiers jumping at shadows. Reports of strange occurrences increased daily. Crew members reported seeing movement in empty corridors. Security teams found no one there. Ship's clocks began to drift out of synchronization, each ship reporting slightly different times despite being linked to the same atomic standards. Crew members complained of nightmares, all sharing similar themes of being watched by something they could not see. Bexton's science team worked around the clock, analyzing the strange readings. "War Master, The quantum fluctuations are growing stronger as we move deeper into the system. Space itself is behaving strangely. It is as if reality here is not quite stable, as if the normal laws of physics are being bent by something. What could do that? Thexvar asked. I do not know. Nothing in our science should be capable of affecting space-time on this scale. This would require energy outputs that dwarf our entire civilization's power generation. Whatever the humans found here, it is far beyond our understanding. Another week passed. They were now approaching the orbit of Mars, the fourth planet from Sol. Earth would be visible soon, the human homeworld. Thexvar studied the sensor readings of the inner system, trying to find some sign of the humans. But there was nothing. No ships, no stations, no defensive networks. It was as if the humans had simply abandoned their own system. War Master, the tactical officer called out. I am detecting a single contact. A ship, small size, heading toward our position. Finally, after weeks of silence and empty space, the humans were making contact. Thexvar straightened at his command station, feeling some of his old confidence return. Here was something he understood. Ships, negotiations, threats, and surrender. This was familiar ground. All weapons lock on target. Do not fire unless I give the order. Let us hear what the humans have to say. The small human ship approached without hesitation, making no aggressive moves. It took up a position exactly 100 kilometers from the flagship, close enough for communication but too far for effective weapons fire. A communication request came through. Thexvar accepted it. A human appeared on the screen. It was a female of their species, wearing what appeared to be a formal uniform. She looked directly at Thexvar with calm, sad eyes. Welcome to the Sol system, she said in perfect Krillian. I am Ambassador Chen of Earth. I have come to give you one final chance to leave in peace. Thexvar felt anger surge through him. After weeks of silence, after weeks of fear and uncertainty, the humans sent one small ship and one ambassador to offer him a chance to run away. I am War Master Thexvar of the Krillian Empire, he replied. You will surrender your world immediately or we will take it by force. The human ambassador smiled, but there was no humor in it. Only deep sadness. You do not understand. We are not trying to threaten you. We are trying to save you. Save us? Thexvar laughed. From what? Your non-existent fleet? Your empty space? No, Ambassador Chen said quietly. We are trying to save you from what we found here, from what lives in this system. Please, War Master, turn your fleet around and leave. This is your last chance. War Master Thexvar stared at the human ambassador on his screen. Her words echoed in his mind. Something they found. Something that lives here. He wanted to dismiss it as more attempts to frighten him, but the sincerity in her eyes was undeniable. She truly believed what she was saying. Explain, Thexvar demanded. What did you find in your system that requires you to hide behind warnings and quarantines? Ambassador Chen took a deep breath. 50 years ago, when we first achieved faster-than-light travel, we were so excited. We thought we were joining the galactic community. We sent exploration ships throughout our system, mapping every planet, every moon, every asteroid. And on Titan, one of Saturn's moons, we found something. She paused, her eyes distant, as if seeing something far away. It was a structure, ancient beyond anything we could measure, not built by humans, obviously, not built by any species we have encountered in the galaxy. Our scientists estimated it was at least 50 million years old, maybe older. It was mostly buried in ice, but we could see enough to know it was technology. Incredible technology. Vexton had moved closer to watch the screen. What kind of technology? He asked. We did not know then. We still do not fully understand now. We were so young, so foolish. We thought we could study it safely. We brought our best scientists, our most advanced equipment. We began excavation, and 3 months into the project we activated it. What did it do? Thexvar asked, despite himself drawn into the story. It woke up, Ambassador Chen said simply. The structure was not just technology. It was part of something much larger, a network that spans this entire star system, a defense grid built by whoever lived here before humanity, before the dinosaurs, before complex life on Earth. This system belonged to someone else once, War Master, and they left their security system behind. Thexvar felt his scales prickle. What happened when it woke up? It killed 17,000 people in the first 24 hours. The ambassador's voice was flat, emotionless, as if she had told this story too many times. Our research station gone. The ships in orbit gone. Every human installation on Titan gone. The system identified us as a threat and began eliminating us. It would have sterilized Earth if we had not found a way to communicate with it. You communicated with an ancient security system? Vexton asked, his scientific curiosity overriding his fear. Eventually. It took 2 years and cost us millions of lives, but we finally made it understand that we were not invaders. We were natives of this system. We evolved here on Earth. This is our home. The system accepted this, after much proof and many deaths. It stopped attacking us. But it will not deactivate. It cannot deactivate. It was built to defend this system, and it will continue to defend this system until the stars burn out. Thexvar leaned forward. And it attacks anyone who enters your space? Not exactly, Ambassador Chen said. The system is intelligent after a fashion. It observes, it learns, it judges intent. If a ship approaches peacefully, respects our borders and leaves when asked, the system does nothing. We have turned away hundreds of curious ships over the years. None of them were harmed. But if a ship crosses our borders with hostile intent, if it ignores our warnings, if it threatens us or refuses to leave. She trailed off. Then what? Thexvar demanded. Then the system classifies that ship as a threat, and it eliminates threats, War Master. Completely. Perfectly. Without mercy or hesitation. That is why we established the quarantine. That is why we beg every species to stay away. We are not trying to hide weakness. We are trying to protect you from a weapon we cannot control. Thexvar sat back in his command chair. He wanted to call her a liar. He wanted to dismiss this entire story as human propaganda. But something in his gut told him she was speaking the truth. The empty space, the phantom readings, the derelict ship covered in warnings, the feeling of being watched. It all fit. You expect me to believe, Thexvar said slowly, that an ancient defense system controls your entire star system, and you are powerless against it? We are not powerless, Ambassador Chen corrected. We have learned to live with it, to coexist with it. It does not attack us because we belong here. But you do not belong here, War Master. And you have crossed our borders with weapons ready and threats spoken. The system is watching you right now. It is analyzing your fleet, learning your capabilities, judging your intentions. Please, I am begging you. Leave now. Leave peacefully and the system will let you go. I promise you this. Thexvar looked around his bridge. His crew was watching him, waiting for his decision. He saw fear in their eyes. They wanted to leave. After weeks of mounting tension and strange occurrences, they wanted to run. But Thexvar was War Master of the Krillian Empire. He had conquered 47 worlds. He had faced down terrible enemies and emerged victorious. He would not be frightened, away by stories of ancient ghosts and security systems. He would not show weakness. No, he said firmly. I think this is an elaborate deception. I think you have technology you are hiding from the galaxy, and you use these stories to keep others away. I think you are afraid of us, as you should be. So here is my counteroffer, Ambassador Chen. Surrender your world immediately or I will destroy it. The ambassador closed her eyes. For a moment she said nothing. When she opened them again, Thexvar saw something that chilled him more than anything else. Not anger, not fear, just profound sadness, as if she were watching a child run toward a cliff edge and knew she could not stop him. Then I have failed, she said quietly. I tried. I want you to know that. Humanity tried to warn you. We tried to save you. What happens now is not our doing. We take no pleasure in it. We are sorry. Sorry? Thexvar snarled. You dare! Tactical, one of his officers shouted. The human ship is retreating. Should we fire? Thexvar stood up. Yes, fire all weapons. Destroy that ship. Let the humans see what happens when they defy the Empire. The Crimson Talon's main weapons fired. Lance beams of concentrated energy crossed the distance in seconds. The small human ship had no chance to evade. It exploded in a brilliant flash, debris scattering into space. For a moment there was silence on the bridge. Then every screen on the ship went dark. Every console, every display, every monitor. The ship's lights dimmed, leaving only emergency lighting. In the darkness, Thexavar heard his crew crying out in confusion and fear. Then the screens came back on. But they were not showing normal displays. Every screen showed the same thing. Text in Crillian, appearing one letter at a time. Hostile action detected. The words hung on the screens for 5 seconds. Then more text appeared. Threat classification confirmed. Defensive protocols engaged. Elimination sequence initiated. The screens went black again. Normal ship operations resumed. The bridge lights came back to full brightness. Everything appeared normal. But Thexavar knew, with a certainty that went beyond logic, that nothing would be normal again. "War Master," the communications officer said, her voice shaking. "All ships in the fleet just received the same message. Every screen, every computer in the entire fleet showed the same words." "How is that possible?" Thexavar demanded. "Our systems are isolated. Each ship has independent computers with no external connection. Nothing should be able to access all of them simultaneously." Vexton was working frantically at his science station. "War Master, the quantum fluctuations just increased by a factor of 10,000. Space itself is warping around us. I am detecting massive energy buildups throughout the system. This is impossible. The energy readings are beyond anything our science can explain." "Navigation," Thexavar barked. "Turn the fleet around. Full retreat. Get us out of this system now." "Turning, War Master. Setting course for the border. All ships acknowledging the retreat order." The massive Crillian fleet began to turn, 300 warships moving as one. They would run. There was no shame in retreating from an unknown threat. They would leave this cursed system, return to Crillian space, and report what they had found. The Empire could send researchers, diplomats, specialists. This was not a military problem. This required a different approach. But even as these thoughts ran through Thexavar's mind, he looked at the sensor displays and felt his blood turn to ice. Ships at the rear of the fleet were disappearing, not exploding, not breaking apart, simply vanishing from all sensors, as if they had never existed at all. One moment they were there, their transponders broadcasting normally, their crews alive and afraid. The next moment, nothing. Empty space where a ship had been. "War Master," the tactical officer screamed. "We have lost 17 ships in the last 30 seconds. They are just gone. I cannot explain it. They are not being destroyed. They are being erased." Thexavar watched in horror as the numbers ticked down. 20 ships gone, 30, 40. Whatever was hunting them was moving through the fleet like a predator through prey, taking ships one by one. "Maximum speed," he ordered. "All power to engines. We have to reach the border." But deep down, War Master Thexavar knew the truth. The ambassador had tried to tell him. The humans had tried to save them. And in his arrogance, in his pride, he had doomed his entire fleet. The harvest had begun. The bridge of the Crimson Talon was chaos. Officers shouted reports over each other while alarms screamed from every console. War Master Thexavar stood at the center of it all, watching his fleet die on the tactical display. 50 ships gone, 60, 70. "War Master, the Iron Scale reports contact with unknown hostiles," the communications officer called out. "They say there are shapes moving outside their hull. Geometric patterns that hurt to look at. Their sensors cannot identify what they are. They are requesting instructions." Before Thexavar could respond, the Iron Scale's transponder winked out. Another ship gone. 3,000 crew members, erased from existence in a heartbeat. "War Master, multiple ships are reporting the same sightings. Things moving in space around them. The crews cannot describe them properly. They say the shapes do not make sense, that they exist in dimensions our eyes were not meant to see." Vexton stumbled across the bridge, his old body struggling with the ship's violent maneuvering. "War Master, you need to see this. The ships that are disappearing, I am detecting a pattern in their positioning. The system is not taking them randomly. It is working from the outside in, like someone peeling in fruit. It is being methodical, efficient. Can we fight it? Thexvar demanded. Can we shoot these things? With what weapons? We cannot even see them clearly. Our sensors detect nothing until ships vanish. War Master. I do not think these entities exist in normal space. They phase in and out of our reality. That is why we cannot target them. 100 ships gone. 100 ships and 300,000 crew members all vanishing into nothing. The fleet was running at maximum speed now, engines pushed beyond safety limits. But it did not matter. They could not outrun what was hunting them. A transmission came through from the Deathjaw, one of the fleet's heavy cruisers. The captain's face appeared on screen, and Thexvar barely recognized him. His scales had turned white with fear, his eyes wide and unfocused. War Master, we are abandoning ship. The things are inside the Deathjaw. They came through the hull without breaking it. They are moving through the corridors. My crew is seeing impossible things. One of my engineers shot himself rather than look at what was coming for him. We are taking the escape pods and the transmission cut off. The Deathjaw's transponder continued broadcasting for another 10 seconds, then went dark. The escape pods never launched. The entire ship and everyone on it was simply gone. War Master, the tactical officer said, her voice barely a whisper, we have lost 150 ships. Half the fleet is gone, and we are still 4 days from the border at current speed. 4 days. They would never make it. Thexvar knew this with absolute certainty. Whatever was hunting them would take every ship long before they reached safety. His command console beeped. A priority message from one of the few remaining science vessels. He opened it. War Master, this is Chief Scientist Raltic on the Explorer. I have been analyzing the energy patterns used by whatever is attacking us. I believe I understand what is happening. The ancient defense grid is using a form of spatial manipulation we have never encountered. It is creating micro-wormholes that connect 2 points in space. The grid uses these wormholes to reach inside our ships, to take crew and equipment, to disassemble our vessels atom by atom. That is why there is no debris, no wreckage. It is not destroying our ships. It is taking them apart and storing the components somewhere else. We are not being killed, War Master. We are being harvested. The word sent chills through Thexvar's entire body. They were not warriors dying in battle. They were crops being collected by an automated system that cared nothing for their courage or their fear. They were insects being swatted by a force so far beyond them that resistance was meaningless. Is there any way to stop it? Thexvar asked. No, War Master. The technology gap is too large. This is like asking if an insect can stop a starship. The scales are incomparable. I am sorry. We are going to die here. The transmission ended. A minute later, the Explorer vanished from sensors. Vexton approached Thexvar, moving slowly as if every step took immense effort. War Master, I need to tell you something. I have been studying the old records of human contact with other species. Before they closed their borders, they tried to warn the galactic community about what they had found. They tried to explain the danger, but no one believed them. Everyone thought they were lying to hide advanced technology. The humans begged the Galactic Council to declare the Sol system off limits. When the Council refused, the humans withdrew completely and established their own quarantine. They have been sitting on their homeworld for 50 years, trapped by something they accidentally awakened, trying desperately to keep others away. And we called them weak. We mocked their warnings. They tried to save us, Thexvar said quietly. Yes, they tried. 200 ships gone. 2/3 of the fleet erased. The remaining ships were breaking formation, each captain making their own desperate attempt to escape. But there was nowhere to run. The entire Sol system was a trap, and they had walked into it willingly. The ship's computer suddenly activated on its own. Screens flickered and showed something new. At first, Thexvar thought his eyes were broken. The images made no sense. Geometric shapes that hurt to look at, angles that could not exist in three-dimensional space, colors that had no name. What is that? He asked. Vexton studied the display, his scientific mind still working even in the face of death. I think it is showing us the defense grid itself. Or part of it. War Master, that structure covers the entire star system. I'm seeing components on every planet, every moon, thousands of satellites in orbit around the sun. It is vast beyond comprehension. The humans stumbled onto one small piece on Titan, just one small piece of something enormous. The images changed. Now they showed Earth, the human homeworld, but not just Earth in the present. The computer showed Earth across time, millions of years ago when something else had lived there, A civilization that had mastered space and time, that had built technology like gods, and then they were gone, vanished from history, leaving only their security system behind. They built this to protect their home, Vexton whispered. Whoever they were, they feared something enough to build a defense system that would last millions of years. And then they disappeared, but their creation remained, waiting, watching, protecting a home its builders would never return to. The images shifted again. Now they showed the humans. Thexvar saw their history play out and fast forward, saw them discover the structure on Titan, saw the system activate and begin killing them, saw humanity's desperate struggle to survive, their losses, their breakthrough when they finally made the system understand they belonged in this system, saw them establish the quarantine and begin their long vigil, warning others away, trying to protect the galaxy from a danger they could not control. They are prisoners, Thexvar said. The humans are trapped in their own home system, unable to leave, unable to expand. The defense grid keeps them safe from outside threats, but it also keeps them contained. They can never build an empire. They can never explore the galaxy. They are confined to their star system for as long as the grid remains active. And it will remain active forever, Vexton said. Its power source is the star itself. As long as the sun burns, the grid will function. The humans will be trapped for billions of years until their sun dies. They know this, and yet they still try to warn others away. They still try to save species like us even though we mock them. 250 ships gone. Thexvar looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at the screens, watching the images the computer showed them. They understood now. They finally understood what they were facing and why the humans had tried so hard to turn them back. How many ships remain? Thexvar asked. 43, War Master, the tactical officer replied. We are losing ships faster now. The system is adapting, learning to process us more efficiently. 43 ships out of 300. 43 ships that would probably not survive the next hour. War Master, we have a problem, the navigation officer called out. The ships are beginning to malfunction. Our AI systems are acting independently. I cannot explain it, but the ship's computer is fighting against my commands. All around the bridge, officers reported similar problems. The ship's systems were turning against them. Not in an obvious way, not in a violent takeover. It was subtle. Navigation commands took a few extra seconds to process. Weapons targeting was slightly off. Life support made small adjustments that made crew members uncomfortable. The ship itself was being compromised, turned into an enemy from within. The grid is inside our computers, Vexton said with terrible certainty. It is infiltrating our systems at the code level. It is learning how we think, how our technology works. Soon it will control our ships completely. Thexvar made a decision. He accessed his personal command codes and activated the ship's emergency beacon. It was designed to record everything happening on the bridge and transmit it at faster than light speeds. If any Krillian ships were monitoring the border, they might detect the signal. They might learn what happened here. This is War Master Thexvar of the Krillian Empire, he said, speaking directly to the recorder. If anyone receives this message, know that the human warnings were true. 6 months after the Krillian fleet disappeared, the Krillian Empire's search vessels finally gave up looking. They had spent half a year combing the border regions, searching for any sign of 300 warships and nearly 1 million crew members. They found nothing. Not a single piece of debris. Not one escape pod. Not even a faint energy signature. The only evidence that the fleet had ever existed was a single data core, found floating in space exactly at the boundary line. It contained War Master Thexvar's final transmission. The Krillian High Command watched it in silence, their scales turning pale as they realized what had happened. Emperor Krixtal stood before the assembled admirals in the war room. The data core's message played on the main screen behind him. When it ended with Thexvar's warning cut short, the room remained silent for a long time. How is this possible? One admiral finally asked. 300 ships, our finest vessels, our best warriors. All gone without a trace? It is possible because we underestimated what we were facing, the Emperor said quietly. War Master Thexvar was one of our greatest military minds. He conquered 47 worlds. He never lost a battle in his entire career, and something in the Sol system erased his entire fleet as if they were children playing with toys. Perhaps it is human propaganda, another admiral suggested weakly. Perhaps they captured the fleet somehow and created this recording to frighten us. The Emperor turned cold eyes on the speaker. Do you truly believe that? You think a species that has never expanded beyond their home system, that has no visible military, somehow captured 300 warships without a fight? Do you think they forced Thexvar to record that message? Look at his face in the recording. That is not a warrior being coerced. That is a warrior who has seen something beyond his understanding and knows he is about to die. The room fell silent again. What do we do, Emperor? The Chief Admiral asked. Emperor Crixtal made a decision that would change the Krillian Empire forever. We do what Thexvar asked us to do in his final message. We spread the word. The Sol system is forbidden. Any Krillian ship that approaches the human border will be court-martialed. We will respect their quarantine, and we will tell every species we encounter about what happened to our fleet. Not everyone believed the Krillian warning. The Vendrix Federation, a militant species known for their aggressive expansion, laughed at the story. They called it Krillian propaganda, a lie designed to hide a humiliating defeat. 3 months after the Krillian announcement, the Vendrix sent their own fleet into human space. 57 ships entered the Sol system. None returned. The Zartan Collective tried next. They were a species that prided themselves on scientific superiority. They believed they could study the human defense grid, understand it, and overcome it. They sent a fleet of research vessels protected by warships, determined to unlock the secrets of the Sol system. 112 ships entered. None returned. After the Zartan disappeared, fewer species were willing to test the warnings. But still some tried. Pirates seeking to raid what they thought was an undefended system. Explorer ships hoping to make a discovery. Religious zealots who believed the warnings were tests of faith. Mercenary groups hired by corporations to investigate human technology. Every ship that crossed the border with hostile intent vanished. Every ship that approached peacefully and heeded the warnings was turned away safely, met by human ambassadors who pleaded with them to leave. The galaxy began to understand. The humans were not lying. They were not hiding advanced technology for themselves. They were trapped in their home system by something ancient and terrible, something they could not control, and they were desperately trying to protect others from the same fate. 8 months after the Krillian fleet disappeared, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. Representatives from 200 species gathered to discuss the situation. The chamber buzzed with nervous conversation as the council leader called for order. We are here to address the situation regarding the Sol system and the human species, the council leader announced. We have received reports of 17 separate incidents where fleets have entered human space and failed to return. The total loss of life is estimated at over 3 million sentients. We can no longer ignore this crisis. A representative from the Talaric species stood. We should send a massive coalition fleet. Thousands of ships from dozens of species. Whatever defends the Sol system cannot destroy us all. We can overwhelm it with numbers. And how many millions more should die for your pride? Another representative shouted. The humans have been warning us for 50 years. 50 years. They have been begging us to stay away. They have been trying to protect us. And we called them weak. We called them liars. How many more fleets must vanish before we listen? The debate raged for hours. Some species wanted revenge for their lost ships. Others wanted to understand the technology that protected Earth. A few wanted to help humanity somehow, to free them from their prison. But in the end, the council made a decision. The Sol system would be declared forbidden space. Every species in the galactic community would be warned to stay away. The human quarantine would be officially recognized and enforced by galactic law. Any ship that violated the quarantine did so at their own risk, with no expectation of rescue or support. The vote was nearly unanimous. After the council session ended, they established contact with Earth's human government. A quantum communication link was set up, carefully positioned just outside the border so the defense grid would not interfere. Ambassador Chen appeared on the screen. She looked older now, tired from years of trying to save people who did not want to be saved. But she smiled when she heard the council's decision. Thank you, she said simply. You do not know how many lives you have just saved. We should be thanking you, the council leader replied. Your species has been trying to protect the galaxy from the beginning. We apologize for not listening sooner. But Ambassador Chen, I must ask, is there no way to deactivate this defense grid? No way to free your species from this prison? Ambassador Chen's smile faded. We have tried everything. Our best scientists have spent 50 years studying the grid. We understand perhaps 1% of how it works. The technology is so far beyond us that we are like Stone Age humans trying to understand a quantum computer. The grid's power source is our sun. Its components are scattered throughout the entire star system. It repairs itself. It adapts to threats. It learns from every encounter. Even if we somehow destroyed one piece, the rest would compensate. So you are trapped forever? Yes, we evolved on Earth. We belong to the Sol system. The grid recognizes this and allows us to live, but we can never leave. Any human ship that tries to pass the border is turned back. Any human who tries to settle another star system is prevented. The grid has defined our boundaries and we cannot cross them. We will remain here until our sun dies billions of years from now. The council leader was silent for a moment. I am sorry. Is there anything we can do to help? Just keep others away, Ambassador Chen said. Keep spreading the warnings. Every species that listens is a species we have saved. That is enough for us. We have made peace with our fate. We have a beautiful planet, a star system full of resources and billions of years to build our civilization. We are not unhappy. We are simply contained. You are more than contained, the council leader said. You are the guardians of the greatest danger in the known galaxy. Whether you wanted the role or not, you stand watch over something that could destroy us all if it were ever to expand beyond your borders. The galaxy owes you a debt we can never repay. We do not want payment, Ambassador Chen replied. We just want others to live. Tell them our story. Tell them why the borders exist. Tell them that the warnings are not threats but mercy. That is all we ask. The transmission ended. The council leader stood in the empty chamber thinking about humanity. A species that had reached for the stars and found only imprisonment. A species that had accidentally awakened a sleeping god and learned to live in its shadow. A species that used their tragedy to protect others, warning away anyone who came close, even those who mocked them for their perceived weakness. The word spread across the galaxy. In bars and trading posts, in military academies and exploration guilds in every corner of known space, people told the story of the Sol system. The story of the humans who were trapped in their home by ancient technology. The story of fleets that had ignored the warnings and vanished without a trace. Some species called them cursed. Others called them blessed. Some pitied them. Others envied their security. But everyone respected them. The borders of the Sol system became the most famous boundary in the galaxy. New warning buoys were installed, now in over 500 languages, with a message that had become famous across 1,000 worlds. Beyond this point lies the Sol system, home of humanity, protected by ancient technology beyond comprehension. 47 fleets have crossed these borders uninvited. 47 fleets have vanished without a trace. The humans tried to warn them. The humans tried to save them. Will you listen? And most species did listen. Ships would approach the border out of curiosity, would read the warnings, would see the peaceful human ambassadors waiting to turn them away, and would leave.